Hey guys, I'm going to read chapter 10, Tangled Up in God's Beard. Don't worry, I'm not going to separate this into two different parts. Ohio, about 1 minute away. This was the first interesting thing that Mama had come up with since they'd been through Detroit. Just outside of Toledo, we pulled over at a rest stop. Mama said, "Okay, who's got to go to the bathroom? Who's hungry?" We got out of the car and started scratching and stretching. The Ohio rest stop was really cool. It was chopped right out of the forest and had picnic tables made out of giant logs. The bathrooms were made out of the same kind of log cabin wood. The only thing about them was that they looked kind of small from the outside. Mama looked in her Watson's Go to Birmingham 1963 book and told us, "Okay, just a sandwich, some fruit, and some Kool-Aid here. Daniel, could you open the trunk so I can get some things out of the cooler?" While Mama got the food and Dad looked under the hood of the brown bomber, I went to the door in the little log cabin that had men carved on it. As soon as I opened the door, I gagged. The toilets in Ohio weren't anything like Michigan toilets. Instead of a white stool with a seat there was just a seat on a piece of wood with a great big open black hole underneath, with the sound of flies coming out of it. No flusher, no water, no nothing. It looked like if you sat on the seat, you might end up getting sucked down under Ohio somewhere. I breathed through my mouth and spent only enough time in that log cabin bathroom to roll a bunch of toilet paper. The woods outside looked like a whole better bathroom. When I was done in the woods, I passed Byron, who forgot about his promise not to talk. He told me, "Man, they must be crazy if they think I'm going to set my behind on that hole." By's hands were full of toilet paper, too. We ate our lunch on one of the picnic tables that Mama made, a jug of Kool-Aid with water that me and Joey pumped. Only Mama liked it, though. The water seemed like it had a metal taste in it and made the Kool-Aid taste like grape medicine. Me, Dad, Bi, and Joey dumped our Kool-Aid when Mama wasn't looking, but I had to ask for seconds and plug my nose and drink it because day one was my day to have peanut butter and jelly, and Mama always put too much peanut butter on the sandwich, and you've got to have something to wash it down in case you start choking. When we finished eating, Bi asked, "What's the word on them toilets?" Mama and Dad cracked up. "So you like those, huh?" Dad said. Mama said, "You better get used to those, Byron. That's an outhouse, and that's what Grandma Sands has." "What?" "If you try to be cool all the time and something surprises you, you sure do look stupid." "Uh-huh," Dad said. "That's where you're going to be taking care of your business for a while." Bi said, "Wait, let me dig this. You mean if I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta go outside in a little nasty thing like that?" "Ain't they got no sanitation laws down there? How are you going to have a hole for a toilet and not get folks sick? Don't them things attract flies?" Mama and Dad laughed again. Mama said, "Your Grandma Sands always says it seems a lot nastier to her to be doing that in the house. The way she looks at it, a house is a whole lot nicer place if the facilities are outside." "Ooh, I remember those outhouses," Dad said. "I remember when we used to go visit my grandmother in the country, and there would be a Sears catalog in the outhouse, and when you were done, you just tore a page out of the catalog and—" "We get the point, Daniel." Mama stopped Dad. After lunch, Bi went back into the log cabin outhouse and came back with his pockets bulging with toilet paper. He told me, "Man, they must be on drugs if they think I'm gonna wipe my butt on some rough old catalog paper." We loaded the cooler back in the car and got on I-75. When you're 10 years old like me, some of the time, no matter how excited you are, or no matter how hard you try, you just can't help falling asleep in the car. I did a lot better than Joey, though. She was out before I'd even sucked all the leftover peanut butter out of my teeth. She stretched out across the back seat, and me and Vi argued about who would hold her head and who would hold her feet. Joey drooled a lot, so it was a worse job to hold her head. We had teased Mama so many times about planning everything so much in her notebook that Bi decided to be cute and asked, "Can someone check that Watson's Go to Birmingham book and see who's supposed to be holding Joey's leaking head for the first 100 miles in Ohio?" Mama and Dad looked at each other and laughed. I did too. I really don't know why bullies have such a good sense of humor. It didn't matter who won the argument because the car started rocking me to sleep. Maybe someone could say the brown bomber was old and ugly, but you could never say anything bad about its seats. They were the best thing in the world. I leaned my head back and watched Ohio go zipping by. I couldn't keep my head from sinking deeper and deeper into the brown bomber's seat. I woke up and got real nervous really fast. I felt something wet in my pants starting to run down my leg. I opened my eyes and said, "Whew." It was just Joey drooling all over me. I complained about Mama and made Bi take Joey's head for a while. I took her shoes off for her, and inside one of her shoes was a kind of worn-down picture of a little white boy with a girl's hairdo and a smiling dog, and a circle around both of them and said Buster Brown. As I drifted back to sleep, I wondered what a little white boy would think if he knew he was getting stepped on every day by my sister. Then my neck got rubberized again and my head nodded down. It nodded back up when I heard Mama say real soft to Dad, "How you doing? Cincinnati's just ahead." "Oh, I'm fine. I've still got a lot in me. I think I'll just stop in Cincy for a stretch and some gas." "Really?" Mama didn't sound too happy. "Sure, why not? The kids are all asleep and you looked like you were about gone yourself." Mama didn't say anything, but I knew she'd have to change her plans if we didn't stop for the night in Cincinnati. Dad kept trying to make it seem okay. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, Walona. We might as well just go a little further." I wanted to lean up and whisper to Mama that I knew what Dad was planning, but the last time I was asleep, Byron had put Joey's head back in my lap, and I was just too lazy to move her. But I knew if I wasn't so sleepy, I could tell Mama what I'd heard Dad and Mr. Johnson saying before we left. Mr. Johnson knew a lot about cars, so Dad asked him to take a good look at the Bomber before we went to Alabama. I was sitting in the car pretending I was driving, and Dad and Mr. Johnson were under the hood. "Oh, yeah, Daniel, this baby's sound as $1. Well, let me ask you something, Theo," Dad had said. "Do you think she can run it to Alabama straight?" Mr. Johnson thought for a minute. "I don't see why not, as long as you keep your eye on the oil in the water, and it shouldn't give you a lick of trouble. The question isn't the car, the question is, could you do it straight?" "Well, that's the most I've done before is 8 hours, and Walona says it will take about 15. But I've talked to some people in the shop, and they say it shouldn't be too tough. A couple of them are from Texas, and they say they've driven straight. Alabama's closer, so why not? That's Plymouth can do it if you can, Daniel." "Good. Besides, think of the money we'll save. I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm not going to tell Walona. She'll die. She's got this whole trip planned down to the last minute." Dad made his voice go kind of high. "And Daniel, between Lexington and Chattanooga, you will inhale 105,564 times, and you'll blink 436,475 times. And that is, of course, unless you see something exciting, in which case you'll inhale 123,876 times and blink 437,098 times. Dad and Mr. Johnson cracked up. As we were going into Cincinnati, I wanted to lean up and whisper to Mama, "Hang on, Mama, you're going to blink and inhale about 62 zillion more times before we get out of this car." But the warm air and the highway noise and the brown bomber seat and the way Joey was breathing all pushed me back to sleep. I was out through most of Kentucky, even though we stopped some more at some more Ohio-style rest stops. I was so tired that I even used a couple of outhouses, but I kept the door open and made Dad stand outside, so in case I fell in, he'd be able to pull me out. The next time I woke up, we were pulled over at a Tennessee rest stop. There were no bathrooms, no outhouses or anything, just a pump and a picnic table. When Dad turned the headlights off, everything disappeared into the back seat. When Dad turned the headlights off, everything disappeared into the blackest night anyone had ever seen. As we looked out of the windows, Mama checked her notebook, then announced, This is the Appalachian Mountains. We're over 6,000 feet above sea level. This is higher than we've ever been before." And she didn't sound really happy about it either. All 4 doors of the brown bomber opened and the weird Watsons got out. As soon as everyone was awake enough to look around, we all bunched up and hugged up around Mama and Dad, even cool Byron. Okay, I'm going to stop there and continue on the next video.